the talent to just kind of have that eye for goal, kind of instincts to know where to be at the right time. And then a lot of it was hard work. You know, I wasn't as good as I am now 10, 15 years ago. You know, I worked extremely hard, drills like we're going to do today, to perfect that craft, really.
Because it didn't come easy to you or to me, the goals. I mean, as much as we love scoring them, I think, certainly from my point of view, hard work was what got me there. Can you still describe that goal-scoring feeling? For me, there's nothing better.
Yes.
You get asked the question all the time. It's very difficult to explain, but it's just magical, eh?
Yeah, it's just a rush of adrenaline that you just can't seem to get anywhere else. And it's
nothing like it.
It's just nothing like it.
I agree.
It's a special, unique feeling.
Son able to turn. Kane. Yes. Number 266. Harry Kane equals Jimmy Greaves, and it was a lovely goal, typical of Kane.
You ready? Let's go then. Just like that.
Oh,
Keep your nose. That's not a bad first one, is it?
I'll
That's
take
not
that.
bad. You happy with that one?
That was pretty
I'm
close.
happy with that one, yeah.
I mean, the keeper kind of...
he knows where you're going to hit it, doesn't he?
Reading it there, but just that quick hit, and it was almost similar to that one where there wasn't too much spin on it. It was more just a bit of a dip.
Are you using that defender as leverage to say, well, I'm going to go around him, or I can go that way to the goal?
Yeah, well, I like to use the defender well, because obviously sometimes, as you know, when they like to stretch, you can put it back through the legs.
Yeah.
But on this one,
so you're aware of where the defender is, or what he is, where he's stretching,
and I think that comes down to instincts as well. Just since I've been young, I've been able to kind of use the defender's body.
Yeah.
But on this one, just because the ball, if the ball was like here, and I got two options to go there or there,
side,
but because the ball was a little bit more here, I knew I could only really just try and.
Are you looking where the goalkeeper is? Do you ever look where he is, or you think, no, I'm just going to go to that side?
If I've got time and I'm able to look, like if I'm running through on goal and I can look to see where his position is, I will. But majority of the time, it's so quick as that bam-bam movement.
This is something you practice in training as well?
Yeah, so these drills especially kind of just around the edge of the box with mannequins.
One touch and out your foot.
Just trying to hit as quick as possible. Sometimes people practice slow and it's just not game realistic. So just trying to do it as quick as we can, just to replicate that sort of finish. So let's do one.
Hitting the top of the ball, isn't it?
Yeah, so
that
just
makes
trying
it more
to
difficult for the keeper as well, because it gets a bit of
and it's not an easy technique. And like I say, a lot of the time, I'd say the majority of my finish from outside the box is probably that kind of low, dippy one.
Yeah.
That one, if you look back through most of my goals, I haven't.
Well done. It's the little shimmy that puts the defender off, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just because you know what it's like when defenders are kind of trying to play that last-ditch tackle, that they always make that big lunge to try and if you can be composed in the box, and I think in the box especially, because
You know you can't touch you.
Basically, yeah, you can win fouls, you can win penalties, and
it's part of the job, isn't it?
yeah, absolutely. You've got to use using your body is such a big part of being a footballer, a striker.
Yeah.
And in this instance, it killed the defender.
Bentaleb. Kane! Well, he was a hero before. He's the Messiah for Tottenham now.
This was the first North London derby I played, and it's still one of the best headers of my career.
And you're determining the pace on the ball of where you head it. You're going back across the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Were you taught that as a kid?
Yeah, I think so. I think growing up, just talking to goalkeepers, you know, they find it hard because their momentum's taken them one side of the goal. And if you head it back, and it doesn't have to be that much pace, if it's got enough loop on it, it almost just roots them because they can't then get the power to jump back.
And that's how you're thinking, I'm going to go back across them because of the pace on the cross.
Yeah, and like for me to score on this side, I'm going to have to really get a lot of power, and it's just I find it a lot more difficult, whereas I'm a lot more comfortable just going back, using the spin on the ball to kind of drift back.
And a bit easier to head it when it's got more pace on it?
Yeah, I think so.
Let's give it a go.
Let's give it a go. Jamie's under pressure now, not me.
You're only as good as your service.
Go high, Jay.
Whoa, well done.
So that's the kind of gist of it, that kind of getting the ball back across the goal, just trying to use the spin.
Your movement forward is to create that space in behind you.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, if the defender's here, I want to just kind of keep him to thinking he's got to kind of always protect that kind of front zone.
Yeah.
And then it allows me just to drift here. And even sometimes if the ball isn't great, I can still get across.
Harry Kane has Arsenal exactly where he wants them.
The next one is probably going to be the toughest one.
Oh yeah.
The Arsenal. You love scoring against Arsenal. Is there a reason?
No, just.
Do you find that with certain clubs that it just sort of happens?
I think so, and I think
works,
I was so desperate to play my first North London derby back when Maurizio was manager, and just everything. I scored 2 goals. I scored in the last minute and won, and just the atmosphere, everything was just so good. I just look forward every year.
I mean, this is the one where really you have no right to shoot at all, have you? How soon did you know, thinking that this has got a chance here?
Yeah, as soon as I looked up, I could see it kind of just. It's heading. It looks like it's going to hit the post, but I know that's a good sign because it's always got that extra bit of kind of perception of the ball spinning and obviously off the post and in. So it was a nice one.
Well, with the wind today as well, this is going to be a tough.
This is going to be into.
Good luck into the wind. Good luck. Ooh, good effort.
Good.
Want another one?
Yeah, I heard that one.
Ready when you are.
And here is Harry Kane for Tottenham. Oh, what a goal! A classic derby goal from Harry Kane. Catch him if you can.
Oi, oi! There we are.
There you go. We've got a good one.
You don't want to take that one again. We're happy with that one.
That's probably the hardest one as well.
That's the hardest one.
I know.
Eh?
We got it in 2.
You're happy doing that one. Obviously, that's a favourite of yours.
Yeah, I think
the way you hit that and your technique.
I think so. I've scored a few finishes, not from that kind of angle, but around this angle here, just kind of that big whip and getting it around outside of the post and in. So.
I'm not sure we're going to beat that.
That was. I'm just glad we got one good one for the channel.
Well, thank you very much for letting us.
Anderson and Darren Lewis are here in the studio with us. 200 club for Harry Kane, and he doesn't look like he's slowing down anytime soon. Alan Shearer must be terrified.
Well, you know, obviously he's got another 60 to go, but you can look at the way he's scoring, his age, the fact that the rate of goals is not slowing down for him. You know, he's still scoring very important goals, not just for him, but for Arsenal as well. So, you know, but like, I honestly,
the
I was so
boyhood Arsenal fan. I think
really,
he's left that long ago.
Exactly.
He's shed that skin.
You know what? It's really funny because when he scored that goal, because of the record and that, I genuinely jumped for that. You know what I mean?
Because it was against City.
Well, it's not even. It was against City. You know what it was? It's being in a position where you can break a record, then you do it, and it's been such an important game and goal. I'm not joking. I was pleased for him that he broke the record, firstly.
I remember when all the build-up to you breaking Cliff Baston's record. What was that day like for you?
Yeah, I was just so into myself. It was all about me, Kel.
Sounds about right.
You know, at that time, you know what I mean?
And how was that different from other games?
Because like, you can't help it, because everything about the week building up and everything, all people are talking about is it going to be this game? Is it going to be this game? You can't help but thinking about it, so I'm quite pleased that
because that's what I was like, when we went to the press conferences beforehand, that's all everyone talked about. Yeah. And the build-up, and we had to find different ways to be able to deal with, because there was no other story in town.
This is what I'm saying. It's not because I wanted it to be about myself, Charles, but that's all people are talking about. So all your being is about this record.
But it seems like it's taken a while, though, for it to be broken for him. Yeah. I'm glad he didn't do it at Preston away. I think it was one of those ones. I really wanted him to do it at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I think it was so special, and like, you know, I saw that he posted one, not bad for a one-season wonder.
Yes, remember that was what I said about him at the start.
It's unbelievable.
But it is amazing that he still goes back to that, because it's one of those things that was proved wrong very quickly. The second,
well, when he went
actually not very quickly, because he didn't start the second season.
But I actually think it's inspired him to score those goals, because everyone's been so disparaging about him, about the way that he maybe isn't as fashionable or A-list, and he was a bit scruffy with the way he plays and stuff. And it's just really just... He did a coach's voice thing where he talked all about that, and you know, going out on loan, as you were saying, and playing against older players and all of the horrible things that can happen. Yeah. But he just uses them all as inspiration.
You know what? I loved it, because as a striker, when you come up, and again, it's something that you come into the first division. When you come from the second division at the time to the first division, first thing they say, oh, will he score at this level? Then you score at that level, and they say, oh, is he a one-season wonder? That stays with you, and that is why he'd probably tweet that, and he's right to do that, because those people have all disappeared. They've disappeared. Should also say 3 of those Premier League goals were scored when he was on loan at Norwich as well. So they're not all Tottenham goals, and he was proving already that he could do it. But Tottenham's breakthrough was really through the Europa League. This time around, though, the only thing that might have been missing for Harry Kane was that Antonio Conte wasn't there to see it. But they spoke in the changing room afterwards.
Antonio. Hello.
Hey.
How you doing, boss? You okay?
Yeah. Good. You make me proud.
Oh, thank you.
When you're in the 200 club, people bring your phone to you.
Exactly.
You don't need to carry your own phone around.
Yeah.
That's how it all works, isn't it? But look, there's a real relationship, a strong relationship between Harry Kane and Antonio Conte, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. I think that he's the reason that Kane is still there.
Yes.
Because I think Kane would probably have forced his way out if had Conte not been there. He knows that he's a winner. He knows that what Conte wants to do and how he wants to do it. And I think that...
Nothing to do with City not fronting up another 50 million.
Possibly, but I think that it was easier for Spurs to keep him after that deal wasn't done.
Yeah, I agree.
Bringing
in a manager that's a serial winner.
And I just got this image of Conte ripping his stitches out yesterday.
Oh, yeah, with the celebration, I know.
But you know, when... listen, I don't know about you two. You both played for managers. You've both been strikers. When you have a man who inspires you, it actually pushes you on even further, doesn't it?
I think that's what the best managers do, get the best out of the players individually. And someone like Harry Kane, you know, you can see he's never in the limelight for the wrong reasons. He seems like the perfect example of how to be as a footballer. And I think it's fantastic. And breaking these types of records, I mean... Not to bring it back to you, but I remember when you did it with your shirt and you had the vest, and it's an iconic picture. It is, though, and we should celebrate those types of things. But, you know, and he's way up there beating, like, Jimmy Greaves, and now he's got to beat that record. And I have no doubt that he will do that. Well, he has beat Jimmy Greaves' record, but pedants would point out that Jimmy Greaves also has scored 2 goals in a charity shield, as the Community Shield was in those days, and that possibly Harry Kane needs a couple more goals. But look, this is what the club have set as the record for Harry Kane to achieve, to go past Jimmy Greaves, to be Tottenham's. Let him have it now. And chances are, between now and the end of the season, he'll get a couple more goals. So that's going to go past. But what was really lovely was that Jimmy Greaves' son put a message on the big screen at Tottenham, didn't he?
Yeah, I was there yesterday, Danny. It was a lovely message, actually, because I did the interview on the pitch. Paul Coit, the announcer, was interviewing, Danny, which was great for us journalists because we didn't have to wait for the press conference to get the quotes.
And everybody stayed pretty much, didn't they?
And everybody stayed. And the entire backroom staff stayed on the pitch, as well as all the teammates as well. So it was they were really lovely scenes. But Danny said, look, if anybody, Dad always felt that if anyone was going to break it, he would have been delighted if it was you. And I think because of Kane's journey, I always said that he's an inspiration to British footballers and everyone who plays the game, because he did the hard yards. He came through the lower leagues and came up to the top division. I remember when he started I tweeted about this yesterday and forgot, and it was Sherwood who put him in there and not Pochettino.
Yes.
And people reminded you straight away. You know that.
Straight away, exactly. but I do remember.
Tim's waistcoat, or Tim's jerkin was getting a hell of a beating yesterday.
I think Tim mentions that every time I work with him.
Sitting at home.
But you know, the interesting thing about Kane was that the Soldados cost a lot of money, wasn't scoring. I had a fractious relationship with the club, and all the fans would, every time they kept calling for him to play, he's one of our own, and he'd come on eventually, and he delivered, and he just kept delivering after that. And the reason why I feel sympathy for Kane is that so often, and we've all worked with people who say he's the best in the world, the best. But then as soon as Spurs said, OK, if you want him, City, he's going to cost £160 million, everyone, is he really worth that?
Yeah.
And I saw that as so disrespectful to a guy who had won 3 Premier League titles. Sorry, Golden Boots, rather. You know, so he'd proven his consistency in the most difficult league in the world, plus the World Cup Golden Boot as well. And yet people were doubting his ability. So for him to break that record now, and even if he scores another 2, and you wouldn't bet against him doing it next week anyway against Leicester. It's Leicester, isn't it? So I think that he now, if he were to leave in the summer, I don't think there are many Spurs fans who would begrudge him going.
No, because they've seen him get to that total. And it is, if it's not going to be about trophies just yet, with Tottenham, and that might be what stings Tottenham fans, is the fact that he would have to leave to win trophies, then it is about individual records for Harry Kane. We'll talk about that in just a second. But having got into the 200 club, Alan Shearer tweeted his support for Harry Kane when he said, congratulations, passing the great Jimmy Greaves record at Spurs. Wayne Rooney and I were wondering where you've been. Well done on joining the 200 club. So there's only 3 players in there now in that 200 club. And you feel like Alan Shearer's record is something very much that Harry Kane will be targeting, and 2 is very much a possibility for him. The only question now is, having become the top goal scorer at Spurs, is if he then goes on to break the Premier League record, if he does it, at Tottenham or elsewhere. And Spurs fans are going to be throwing things at their telly. Things just broken the record. We've spent the whole day singing he's one of our own, and now you're touting him for a move away.
But I agree with what Darren said. I think it's almost became inevitable last year when there was that talk of him not turning up to training, and then obviously he did that statement to say that was a miscommunication. But for me, I think the fact that Antonio Conte's still there, if Harry Kane was to leave Tottenham, they have no chance for me of winning silver anytime soon. They're still not really anyone amongst it at this moment in time, are they? Yes, they're in 5th, they're in the Champions League, but I don't think the Tottenham fans have been that happy with the way Tottenham have been playing. But a player like Harry Kane, if he's not there, they've got no chance. So for me, I think he's shown great loyalty to the club, and if he does leave, I agree with what Darren said, they can't hold it against him because he's shown loyalty, he's stayed there, you know, through the good, the bad and the ugly. Champions League fun. I mean, if Tottenham would have won that Champions League, Poch would still be there now, they'd have had that silverware. But things change and things happen, and I think what a player Harry Kane is, you know, and I think a lot more credit needs to be given to him.